All right, here we go. Hey, yo, what it is and what's good, y'all? Welcome back to 280 Plus, the social media podcast where I take the conversations of the timeline and go beyond the tweets. I'm your host, Los Def, and I'm back here for episode 205 of the platform. I appreciate you if you tuned in so far. If you're new to the channel, I'd like you to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, get the algorithm going. If you want to join the conversation, you have any comments, any smoke, any disagreements, anything that you like about it, leave a comment below. And then if you know anybody that's interested in the content, share the content with them. Be a good friend and share the content. So again, this is a platform where, you know, just different things are happening, and the way that we kind of consume a lot of our information is social media. So I'm here is where I'm seeing a lot of this different stuff. And as opposed to just kind of tweeting about it and getting frustrated and feeling like I can't get all my thoughts out, I mean, we go beyond that, right? Beyond 280 characters if we use an X or Twitter as an example. But, you know, we talking about just different social issues. We talking about entertainment, and that could be movies, TV, music. We talking about sports on here a lot. We talk about different social issues, whether it be about relationships, parenting, and just society as a whole, right? Maybe and sometimes even a little bit of politics. We get into politics as well. So this week, man, we got a great episode. Let's see what we got. Yeah, so this week, we are reacting to a couple different things today. All right, so a couple different things we're gonna react to in terms of content. We're gonna start off the show talking about have y'all seen the Biggest Loser doc, right, called Fit for TV? So that I was interested in that because all these different like expose type of documentaries about these shows that people liked or that were very popular, like that's my shit right now. You know what I mean? And they did it with like Hollywood Demons, and we saw a couple of episodes of that, but like, and we see it with Trainwreck, right? There's another cool documentary on Netflix where Untold, right? Yeah, and that's more sports related. But yeah, that's my wheelhouse right there. Like when they started telling us the truth about, you know, some of these things, or a different perspective. Maybe it's not even the truth. It's just a different perspective of some of these different events and happenings that captivated our screens. I'm into that. So we're gonna talk about that. The Biggest Loser doc called Fit for TV. Then we're gonna actually react to the Jubilee episode Surrounded with Amanda Seales, right? Amanda Seales, y'all know her, and it was basically one black radical versus 20 black conservatives. So we're gonna break some of that stuff down. We're gonna talk about the claim specifically and just kind of give my reaction to it. That whole video was an hour and a half long, so we're not gonna give you like a play-by-play of everything, but just kind of we're gonna talk about black conservatism, and kind of where it kind of misses the mark and where it goes wrong, where it goes left a little bit, and just kind of react and give my thoughts, and hopefully you guys chime in and have some thoughts about that as well. We're gonna talk about the death of the music video. So not only we saw reports where the BET Hip Hop Awards is not coming back, and also the NAA, not the NAACP, the Soul Train Awards are not going to be televised this year, and they're gone for the foreseeable future. But also, this kind of relates. I might show you guys a piece of a Ray Daniels video, and then we're going to react to people talking about music videos in general, and like, is it a dying art? Is it worth it anymore? And I have strong opinions. I've been having opinions about this topic for a while, and it's like, to me, it's like, finally y'all getting with it. Y'all getting with this idea. All right. So we're gonna talk about that. We got a little bit of sports. So it's still NFL preseason, and I personally do not watch NFL preseason. I can't get into it. I'm not, I like basketball. I like watching basketball. But I'm not gonna give y'all no WNBA action either. So we're going to talk about the big three. The big three playoffs started last weekend, and obviously going to continue into next week. And we're going to see how that kind of plays out. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the big three, talk about that playoff matchup that I seen, and just kind of like it's something that's like kind of grown on me. I didn't even realize that I was even going to like something like this, but it's kind of grown on me. I know it's been around for a couple years now, but now I'm kind of into it and what that looks like. So stay tuned. I appreciate you watching. If you're new to the channel, again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment below, and share the content. All right. So fit for TV, fit for TV. Let's get into this. So how many of you, and you can answer, you could comment below if you want, but have you ever watched The Biggest Loser on, it used to be a show that came on NBC. Has anybody ever watched The Biggest Loser? So The Biggest Loser was a show that aired from 2004 all the way to 2016. So, and I don't think I realized it went on for that long. I do remember it being a very popular show, and I do remember that I remember that being like for a good while, that being like the flagship show of NBC, where like a lot of the marketing was placed behind this, and they would always just, and I don't even think I always knew what the show was, and we'll get into like my experience watching it, but also just all the different things that kind of they that encompasses. So the show started, yes, it aired from 2004 to 2016. It actually went on for 18 seasons. So 17 of those seasons were on NBC. And then they did their one last season. They tried to bring it back, whatever. And it was on USA Network. So in USA Network, NBC, they're all owned by Universal Media, you know what I mean? Or Universal Pictures, whatever. So that's all part of that conglomerate. So it didn't really like move channels. It just moved to like the little brother channel, so to speak. Still part of the same family. And I remember, I can't say that I watched the show like regularly, like faithfully or anything like that. I can't make that claim. Like I did not watch it. I so I didn't pay close attention. I can't name you not one winner of it. I can't even name or picture like certain challenges. So like, but I do remember watching it once or twice. And I remember sometimes it would come on like a Friday. Like I would see, maybe it would be like the results part, and you would see that like on a Friday night, you ain't nothing to do, you just flipping channels, and then you land on ABC and they talking, because Dateline will come on, whatever, but you watching, and they talking about freaking The Biggest Loser, and you would kind of see some clips of that. So what I would say is that one thing I knew was that people were having dramatic weight loss transformations. Like people was losing a lot of weight, right? And I ain't gonna lie, like on the surface, I was just under the impression that like, all right, man, these people were just really, really big, and these people are very sedentary, and like they haven't moved or been active for years, hence why they got so big. And thinking like, all right, man, like what they're doing can't be that crazy, and the only reason why they're losing so much weight is just because like their system got jolted, you know what I mean? And like them putting in regular workouts, moderate workouts, is the same as like somebody that's not as overweight, and like them having to like do high intensity, long duration workouts and stuff like that. So I'm thinking like, yeah, yeah, they don't have to do as much. They don't have to run as far, because what I did see was the challenges or the exercising that I seen them doing, it didn't seem that rigorous. It just didn't seem that rigorous. However, this watching this documentary blew my mind as to like how much they were working out and like what they required of these people. And it explains why, yes, their system was jolted. Their system was jolted, and it is why they lost so much weight. But then there's a downside to that, because a lot of these people put the weight back on. But anyway, um, yeah, so I don't think I like gave it a lot of thought. Like I didn't think like, oh, okay, they're losing weight. It's no big deal. It's just because, like I said, these people just maybe they lack discipline, they lack self-control, and now they're in an environment where they kind of got to put some work in. Um, so, but again, I haven't seen enough episodes to fully be like, oh yeah, I remember this, I remember this. And but finding out on the show is that, yo, now granted, these people were paid. Like, I mean, if you're on a show like that, you do get some type of payment. So these people are being paid to work out. But they were working out 6 to 8 hours a day. Another shocking stat so one, being paid to work out will probably make you work out. So that's like, there's an incentive there. Um, but also the workout plans that they would have them on, right? These people would be required to burn 6 to 8 thousand calories per day. Yeah, you heard me right. 6 to 8 thousand calories burned per day. So that's why, yeah, these people was literally working out 6 to 8 hours every single day. And it just made me think, like, damn, like one, I can't work out like that. So like I can see how taxing it was. And like you would always see a highlight of somebody like throwing up or something like that, or just being maybe passing out, like to the point of exhaustion. And you're looking at the workout they're doing and you're thinking like, damn, they really are out of shape. Well, no, like that was kind of camera tricks, because these people was passing out, vomiting, and having all these type of like health scares because how much work they was actually putting in. I know for a fact, and I know, I don't know, I need to get like a Fitbit or something like that, so I can just, even when I'm not working out, I want to know like my rest, like how many calories does my body burn when I'm resting? I mean, because yeah, that's part of it too. It's not just working out. Like your body, when your metabolism is up and stuff like that, your body is burning calories even when you're resting. But I know for a fact, I can almost guarantee you, I've never burned 6,000 calories in a single day. I definitely didn't do it based on working out. And again, I don't wear no Fitbits. I play a lot of basketball, but 6,000 calories is a lot. You know what I mean? People have a 30-minute workout and they might, if you burn 500 calories in a 30-minute workout, that's good. Like that's really good. You know what I mean? And obviously people burn a lot less even when they jogging and stuff like that. They burn like 300 in a half hour. And it's like, okay. But like if you burn 500 in a half hour, that's good. So yeah, an hour's worth of work, I guess, it can be 1,000 calories. But like I've never worked out for 6 hours. Like I don't even understand how my body would function. I feel like I would have a lot of wear and tear. I would, you know what I mean? You get stuff like shin splints. You might develop plantar fasciitis. Like there's different physical like wear and tear type of ailments that you would suffer from if you was working out that much a day. And then even if they're resting muscles, even if they're resting certain muscles, whatever, like to do that multiple times a week, whatever. So it makes perfect sense why they lost the weight. And like there was no tricks in that. Now, granted, there's a little bit of controversy. Some of the controversy lies in the fact that they were the doctor on the show, he banned caffeine from the show. Like he didn't want them drinking coffee. And caffeine is a stimulant and it can help with like appetite suppression. It can help you with energy and things like that. And if you talk about coffee, it's a natural laxative. So like you probably getting rid of some of that stuff. So he was like the doctor on the show, he was banning it. Like he's like, nah, they don't need to be on no caffeine. But there was controversy that like either the trainers or like the assistant of these trainers, these TV trainers, which was Bob Harper and Jillian Michaels, like they was the assistants might encourage them to take a supplement, and it'd be like a caffeine pill, it'd be like a stacker, which it's not illegal, but on this show, it would be unethical, and it would be against the rules of the show because you're not supposed to be using like outside like different sources to kind of aid your weight loss. So there was some controversy in that. But I just not even realizing how much work they was actually putting in. That was like that was like really nuts to me. That was a little bit crazy. And what they talked about too in this documentary was how just the perception of it. And you kind of get the idea that the reason why this show was so popular was because deep down inside, Americans, and we can say Americans, but people, let's just say people don't like overweight people. And like, yes, that is like a number one fear. What it's a number one fear for obviously for vanity reasons, right? Because I'm not even gonna say health is obvious because some people don't value that the same way, but vanity. That's why like losing weight and being in shape is important. Like we all want to look good, and yes, and most of us can attest to this. When you look good, you feel good. When you're not carrying a bunch of extra weight on you, you know what I mean, you tend to look better. Not everybody maybe, but most people you tend to look better. But then obviously you want to lose weight because of the health reasons, right? You want to because you want to be alive for your kids. You want to be fit enough to be able to do certain activities. One of the most and this is I get sad every time I see it, and probably one of the most damaging things that probably to anybody's self-esteem is when I go to amusement park, right? I'm a Hershey Park guy, right? And when I see somebody can't fit into a ride, and and a lot of times nowadays it'll be a guy. It don't even necessarily be a big woman. It'll be a guy that's just like a husky dude, but like obviously they probably gain a little bit of weight. You know what I mean? Or like they might weigh a lot more than I even realized. But like I just think like dang, it ain't just some like overly, sloppy person. It's like a person that's like, this guy does stuff for a living. Yeah, I mean, he work with his hands or something like that. But the guy's big, too big. Now it's one thing if you're too tall, but like, yeah, it'd be like they stomach. Yeah, I mean, they can't get into the rest. So that's embarrassing to me. So like, yeah, it's part of it is the vanity, it's the health, but also like social acceptance as well. And you getting to avoid certain level of ridicule or embarrassment when you're out in society. So I think it's important. I mean, and we do put an emphasis on it. And this show, even though this documentary reveals some things, it's not like saying I don't believe in the full length like body positivity message where it's like, no, just be comfortable in the skin you're in. You should be comfortable in the skin you're in, but like you should be trying to work towards just better health, like overall better health. Now, the irony is that what's ironic about that, and they try to point this out in the documentaries because Bob Harper had a heart attack, and obviously he was America's fitness trainer, and then so people will be like, well, like you can't. That's an outlier to me, but you can't use an outlier to be like, well, maybe we shouldn't be focusing on losing weight. Like no, like this man, that could be something, and they didn't get into any details, no details at all. But heart disease could run in this man's family. I mean, bad heart like conditions could run in this man's family. We don't know if he uses drugs or not. We don't know if he uses stimulants or not. You know what I mean? Like, or any type of performance enhancers. We don't know that. We don't know if he overexerted himself or if he was dehydrated or yeah, I mean like there's a lot of variables. So I'm not which the documentary tried to do this, but I'm not about to equate like Bob Harper, the fitness guru, the fitness trainer on The Biggest Loser, him having a heart attack. I'm not gonna equate that to meaning, oh well, maybe working out is not that important. I mean, like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Um, but but again, when it comes to like social acceptance and things like that, and just this idea that like people like to watch like they don't like bigger people, or they like to watch bigger people suffer and things like that. Another thing that kind of goes with that in the documentary was just the way the producers a lot of times would portray the show. So a couple of things that I'm gonna say, two things that were like kind of messed up with the way the producers put this show together. The first thing I'm gonna talk about is like the temptation. Like they used to have these temptation challenges, right? So on these temptation challenges, they would try to basically the incentive would be for you to go home for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like you could go home and see your family because these people are there for a couple months, especially if they last a long time. These people are there for quite a bit of time. So they're missing their families and they want to see their families. And so in the temptation challenge, what they'll do is they'll put you in a room with nothing but food, right? Like unguarded food. It's piled high, so it messes up your head, like because you're like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? And they call that a temptation challenge, right? And it's a little bit over the top. It's a little bit ridiculous. Like it'd be a temptation would be like, all right, I'm gonna put your favorite food right, one plate of your favorite food right in front of you, and then see if you eat it or not. You know what I mean? See if you eat it or not. But this would they would put you in a room with like mountains of food. So then I think psychologically you're thinking like, well, what's a French fry? A French fry couldn't hurt, right? So all right, they will put you in that room, and whoever would consume the most calories would win, and they would be allowed to go home for like a home visit real quick. You know what I'm saying? See their families and all that. So you heard that right. Whoever consumes the most calories is allowed to it wins the challenge. So people would like, they didn't really get into showing you all that whatever, but yeah, I would imagine that some people would risk it all, and they would eat and to gain the most calories, and then so they would win the reward. And then the caveat though is the fact that it's not like you get a pass for whatever calories you gained. You're still subject to getting weighed in at the end of the week or whatever duration that is, and you're still required to try to maintain your diet and your exercise routine. So it's like blowing your diet completely and routine completely to just, you know what I mean, and messing with people's heads just so they can see their families, all the while they're still being held accountable for all the things that they ate. So that's one thing I thought that's messed up, because it's like, yes, it is temptation, and the producers are trying to say like, well, you got to fight temptation in the real world, but that's not really what temptation looks like. Like just think about anything that tempts you in the world. You never are exposed to large abundance of it all at once. Like temptation is small. Like temptation, even though it's a big thing that can affect you, but it could be the smallest thing that can tempt you and derail you. But like to force it, it's like, come on now. So I thought that was messed up. And then another thing that was messed up on the show was, yo, and this is crazy, and I don't think I knew that they did this, but they were showing mad clips, and like all the people reacting was like, yeah, anytime that we would, like, if we would fall, or if somebody was walking into the room, the producers would like make the camera shake, or they would give an effect as if like the camera was shaking. So like giving this effect that like, yo, this big person, they fell down and they caused like a little seismic earthquake or something like that, or dang, like they so big they knocking stuff over and making a thing. So I that depict so that is one thing for sure accurately. Like there's a lot of things wrong with this documentary. Their workout plans were too crazy. The perception of like of big people, of overweight people, obese people, and like just making it like, yo, their whole existence is like about shaking the earth. That, and then it would be that temptation stuff. Like that's messed up. That's so messed up to me. So that was wild. That was wild. Um the alarming thing though here, and you could see it as you're watching like these past participants talking, and one thing was very evident: most of these people was overweight again, right? Like, and some of these people looked like they was bigger than before, but like it never looked like, no, it didn't look like anybody maintained their weight loss after it. Like there's a handful of people, but not a lot of people maintained it. And so they tried to do a study, and this was like something that was like shocking. And this study though is very flawed. So, but they did do a study on like 14 of the participants, and they try to like see like, because most people gain the weight back when they leave the show. So they tried to do this experiment and this study, but they only used 14 people, right? That was a part of this, and they had no control group. You know what I mean? So like, and that's a big part. If you're doing any type of study, you're actually You're studying your phenomenon, but then you also study a control group, which either has more variables or has less variables than what you're trying to see, because you're trying to see that, like, all right, well, if they don't have the same impact, will we get the same results if, like, we test another group and they don't have the same kind of things affecting it? Will you get the same results? That's how you do a study, right? That's how you can tell, like, oh no, look, we gave this group the best optimal conditions, and this is what happened. But then these people, what we're trying to prove, this is what happens. You know what I mean? And when you don't have a control group, you don't have a sound study. So that's what happened. And when you have a small sample size, 14 people is not enough to do a study on something like that. When you do that, it skews it. But like it showed, what they were trying to prove was that the show is what ruined these people metabolism. That's why, like, when they left the show, they all gained the weight back, because their metabolism was slowed down so much that their extreme dieting and workout plans on the show is what would mess it up. The one thing I would say though is that nobody conceded to that point. Anybody that was on the show, none of them said, like, yeah, they're the reasons why I lost the, like, I gained the weight back. All these people held themselves accountable. And one of the messages that even Bob Harper harps on is the fact that, like, if you do have trouble with your weight, that's a monkey that's gonna be on your back for the rest of your life, no matter what. No matter what. Not so, like, those are people that, like, even like they know how to get in shape. You know what I mean? And they know how to look good, but if they struggle with doing that, if that's not a part of their regular lifestyle, they always gonna have some type of struggle with it. So that was eye opening, because they tried to have a study to prove how bad the show was based off of, I don't know what they were basing it off of, but basing it off of them maybe affecting their metabolism, and but all the people said that no. At the very least, and this is what most people can attest to, is that, like, extreme dieting does not work. It does not work long term. You will have that short term, you know, immediate success, but like the that's why it's called an extreme diet or extreme workout. Is that is it's extreme. Like, this is not something that you can replicate over and over and over and over again, right? So, um, and the last thing I would say is that, like, the show was controversial also because, what in terms of, like, so they had a medical doctor on the show, and like he would have to give people checkups and things like that, and he talked about how, like, there was a lot of challenges that he was not permitted to, like, he had no knowledge of, like, he was not permitted to see these things. And then a lot of times the trainers, and they showed Jillian Michaels' face particularly, the trainers would also give him a lot of static. Like, he would suggest, like, hey, they might need to eat like a little bit more calories, because eating 800 calories is wild off of burning 6,000. Eating only 800 is crazy, and you're doing that every day. But he would, say, like, hey, they might need to eat a little bit more. They might need to lay off some of the exercise, and then the trainers would, like, either ignore him altogether, or get mad. And they were putting ratings over people's safety, and that's pretty much what this documentary revealed, that they put the ratings over people's health. And yes, most of these people, even if they were the biggest loser, even if they were the winner of their seasons, most of these people could not keep it up. And that's how it is. So, like, you gotta, and I see a lot of trainers talk about this now, is that, like, yeah, you cannot expect immediate results, because you didn't get to your undesired size that you have. It didn't come instantly. You had to put some effort into you gaining weight. Like, so if you had to put effort into gaining weight, and it took you years to gain this weight, then it might take you years to lose that weight and to keep it off. You know what I'm saying? So, but what do you think, man? Did you ever watch The Biggest Loser? Have you ever tuned into that show? I would definitely recommend watching the documentary. I know I might have spoiled some pieces, but it's eye opening, because, like, I can't even fully visually show you, like, some of the things that they was talking about, and it gets a lot deeper. Like, there's a lot more things in that doc that we really didn't get into, but I would recommend it. It's on Netflix. It's called Fit for TV, The Biggest Loser doc. So let me know what you think in the comments. All right, let's move on. All right, man. So So here, man, we're gonna teach people a little. We probably gonna end up teaching some things today. You know what I mean? Because, whew, man, it's crazy. So, I Jubilee is like that's one of my favorite channels on YouTube. I watch it all the time for different type of debates. Partly because obviously I do keep up with what's kind of going on in the news, but I think it's more so I do want to hear people's perspectives, and I do listen to people who have opposing perspectives to me, and I always want to know where is the disconnect. A lot of times it's ignorance, right? So this show that they have, it's called Surrounded, and they featured Amanda Seals and versus Black conservatives. So it was, and the way it was titled, it was Amanda Seals, one Black radical versus 20 Black conservatives, right? So it's called Surrounded, and that's how it is. It's like a you have a couple claims that you bring to the table. You're the person surrounded, and then people have there's a timer on each topic, and then people can vote you out. You know what I mean? So basically, you got to rush to a chair. The first person touches the chair, they get to debate against the person that's surrounded. And then if people have the 20 people, they have these red flags that they can put up. And if you get like 10 red flags, because like usually you're surrounded by 20 people. I think if you go over half if half of the people, more than half of the people disagree with you, then you get voted out, and then a new person can join the conversation. So I'm gonna just say this whole episode was surrounded, but it was surrounded by ignorance. Surrounded by ignorance. Now, and I don't necessarily want to start with saying like, oh, I don't normally agree with Amanda Seals. Amanda Seals, yeah, I would say that socially, and a lot of things that she talks about on social media, just about random stuff, like about just everyday people type stuff. I don't know. I don't tend to agree with her a lot of times. Um, her personality rubs some people the wrong way, and it's not because she's smart and intelligent. She is smart and she's very intelligent. She's very knowledgeable of what she's talking about a lot of times. I would say politically, I do agree with her on a lot of things, especially when it comes to the advancement of Black people. But one thing I'm gonna say about let me start off this before we get into like the surrounding. I'm gonna just talk about Black conservatism a little bit, and I have a problem with Black conservatism, and it's not because I think that Black liberalism is better. Like I'm probably more on the man the seal side, where it's like, no, fuck it, fuck them too, fuck the Democratic Party too. They don't matter to me. Like a party don't matter to me. The problem is, first off, when you have a two-party system, right? All people are trying to do is get you to flip flop to the other side. It's never about true free thinking. It's never about independent thought. It's never about actual advancement. It's like yo, just come to the other side. So even that's why I didn't support Brexit. You know what I'm saying? Like and Candace Owens and that movement and stuff like that, because y'all not telling us to do anything different. You are telling us to do something different because you feel like there's this chokehold that the Democratic Party has on Black people. So you're saying, no, just go over here. It's better. Instead of like, yo, if we all collectively have some of the same ideologies and we all want the advancement of Black people, why don't we just make our own party? Why don't we make a voting block? You know what I mean? For us, it's not. Yeah, I mean that's like if if something is going on that you don't like to see or like you don't like to witness, and somebody tell you, instead of stopping what's happening, they just tell you, "Yo, turn around, so you don't gotta see." And so that's all it is when you go from Democrat to Republican, or Republican to Democrat, and you're saying that that's the answer. All you did was just turn your back to the real problem, right? So my issue with Black conservatism is it's never actually for the advancement of Black people. Black conservatives do not rock with any Black person. I'm gonna say, because I'm gonna keep it black. Black conservatives do not rock with any Black people that are doing less than them. If you're doing less than them, then you need to do more. You know what I mean? Because you don't deserve to complain because I was able to do it, you can do it. Or my dad was able to do it, so you can do it, right? And so they have no regard for anybody that's not on their level, whether it's socioeconomic status, whether it's actual, whether it is political stances, whether it is just straight up income, whether it's social status, whether it's neighborhood, right? Black conservatives do not fuck with you if you have less than them. They like you can only you can only join the team and truly be for them if one you just kissing their ass from the bottom or if you get onto their level. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because yeah, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of black like what I'm noticing now, especially with like Trump's, second term, is that there's a low level of black conservatism that's kind of happening. And I mean, like with a lower class of people, right? Lower intelligence of people, where yeah, they even though these people is passing and voting things that don't have your interests at heart, you're still gonna abide by what they say because you trying to get onto these people level. So that's it. So black conservatism has no regard for anyone in a worse situation than them, right? And black conservatives give white people way too much credit. Way too much credit. Way too much credit. It's constantly some type of talking point about justifying segregation, justifying racism, justifying slavery, justifying redlining, justifying all these different things, justifying why we should get rid of affirmative action or justifying why we should get rid of DEI. And a lot of times they be ignoring the facts and they give white people way too much credit. They be like, no, it's not all white people. Nobody says it's all white people. Yes, we do use that phrase and to mean, a collective, but nobody thinks that all white people, like, I'm not gonna say nobody. Most black people do not think that all white people are bad. But as a black conservative, why are you giving them so much credit? Because black conservatives will say that black liberals kiss a lot of ass. You know what I'm saying? But like y'all kiss a lot of ass. You know what I mean? And they say black liberals are like, begging for handouts and stuff like that. Y'all begging for acceptance because at the end of the day, they don't accept you. They don't. They don't. If you get around if you're in it long enough and you get around the right setting, you're gonna realize they don't fuck with you. You know what I mean? They are using you just like you think the Democrats are using, black people. Republicans use black people as well, right? And that was a lot of what Amanda Seals was talking about. So I gotta commend her, man, because to be surrounded by that kind of ignorance is exhausting. It is tough. One thing I learned was that like a lot of people do not have a grasp of actual history. There's a lot of those talking points where it's a lot of people giving credit that should not give credit. Um, and a lot of these people just wanted to argue like clickbait type of talking points. They didn't have it. No one had anything really substantial to say. So the way Jubilee works is the person that is surrounded, the person that is going against everybody, they give four claims that they get to make, and then people get to argue based on the four claims, and then like each claim they get like 20 minutes, and then at the end, the person that was surrounded, they get to pick one person from the crowd, and then they get to debate. Then that person from the crowd, they get to present a topic, and then they debate the surrounded person on off of that one topic for like 10 minutes, right? So these were, and to be honest, and this is what I commented on Amanda's page, was that like I thought her claims were layups. You know what I mean? Like layups for her to make, but also layups for like this is one time that we can be on the same page. Like these four claims are like one time that we should all be on the same page in terms of black people, but like for some reason we cannot, right? Because it might be, and I don't want to get into self-hate. It might be self-hate, but it's a lot of aggrandizement of like other people as well, right? So these were her four claims. She claimed her claim number one: reparations are just and necessary. Okay. Claim number two: black on black crime is a result of underinvestment and over policing. Right. Claim number three was systemic racism isn't a theory; it's our lived experience by that's backed by data and history. And then her fourth claim was black conservatism fails to meet the needs of the working class. And if you, to me, I think if you argue some of these points, we can have an argument about it. But when you argue some of these points, it's never for the greater good. It's just because you don't want to be wrong. You know what I'm saying? So the first claim, when she talked about reparations are just and necessary, she started breaking down what reparations would kind of look like. A lot of people think that reparations are just a check, and like, yes, that would be bad. Like if we look at it from the extreme, is like, yeah, cut the check, and they just gave people a check, that would be bad. But like, no one, that's where the conversation stops a lot of times. No one talks about like what reparations could actually look like. Part of it could be money, you know what I mean? But then it would be some other things in place. It would be about changing systems and giving like communities like resources, giving like increasing the access to certain things. Um, Black conservatives, a lot of times they make the points that all they were doing when they were arguing this point, the black conservatives just kept pointing out that black people harm black people at a higher rate. Um, but that's not a reason why we shouldn't get reparations or anything like that. And when you say that black people harm black people at a higher rate, you're also not considering that white people harm white people at a higher rate. Hispanics harm Hispanics at a higher rate, but it's also not giving enough light onto the cause. Why do black people commit crimes? You know what I mean? It's not because a lot of times it's a lack of resources. I mean, you steal from people because you're broke. You know what I'm saying? You steal from people because you want more and you don't have enough. You know what I mean? You sell drugs because it's easier to do that because maybe you're not given the access to do other things. Or you were never taught to value how to get money in a legal way. I mean, like, what's the cause of it? It's not black people hurting black people. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, their reparations, just in that, they're necessary because reparation is supposed to repair, you know, what was done, right? And then they're necessary because other groups, and we've seen in history, other groups have received reparations, including slave holders, like slave owners were given reparations. So like, and that's literally how the infrastructure map kind of starts in America. It's after slavery. It's like, all right, well, we're gonna give you back some land. We're gonna give you back some land. And so like these people, even though they did something atrocious, even though they were part of some heinous economic system that harmed black people, they still were rewarded for that. So it's like, yes, we deserve them because y'all never really repaired anything. Y'all just kind of kept sweeping things on the rug. But then they're necessary because if we want to talk about leveling the playing field, like y'all did that for other groups, you couldn't do it for us. But like I don't feel like nobody had any kind of like sound talking point. What black conservatives kind of go to is this talk about victim mentality. And my thing even with victim mentality is the fact that like, all right, somebody could be a victim, but that don't mean that they don't deserve justice. You know what I mean? Just because somebody, like two things can be true. You can be and just because you're a victim doesn't mean you're not resilient. Like anything can happen to anybody. You know what I mean? I don't think that black people live in victimhood. I think it's twofold. It's like I don't think they're necessarily living in victimhood, but also why can't, yes, this happened to me? Why can't we recognize this happened to me? And then why can't we hold those other people accountable for what they did to me? That's what that's about. So she did talk about reparations, but also remunerations. Remunerations would be the monetary part of the reparations equation. You know what I'm saying? So so yeah, I think that's a slam dunk. Like, come on now. Like, let's stop playing. Now, the only other argument would be, which was Anthony Brian Logan. He was like, "Well, how long are we gonna wait for that?" And the thing is, I don't think anybody's waiting. Like, black people aren't stopping what they can do because they're waiting for reparations. Like nobody's waiting for reparations, but the thing is, we might not even be fighting for reparations for our generation. We might be fighting for reparations for our grandkids, our great grandkids, or people that's not even like our descendants from generations beyond. Like we may be helping them out in the future. So but we shouldn't just like be quiet about it. All right. On the second claim about black on black crime is a result of underinvestment and over policing. Um, so one of the debaters, they brought up that crime has risen since the civil rights movement, and like in from 1968, but like they don't really explain. And then the question is why. So they talk about the breakdown of the black family, um, the breakdown of a lot of talking points was about the breakdown of black resilience, saying that black people are not resilient, but also they talked about a lack of accountability, and it still doesn't, none of those things address the point. Because if we all could recognize that crime has risen because there's no jobs and there's no resources and things like that, that's what she's talking about. She's talking about underinvestment. Like they don't want to invest in our schools, or they create systems like redlining and things like that to where there's no tax base for us to you know improve our schools. So yes, there is an underinvestment there. If they really wanted guns off the street, then they got to put something else in your hand, but they got to invest into the community to do that. You know what I mean? So it's definitely investment, but also, yes, over policing in the fact that, like, yes, a lot of black people are criminalized for their existence. You know what I mean? And you can say that I'm not gonna say like, oh, get rid of police officers altogether, but like when you have stuff like stop and frisk is a prime example of over policing to where like you're like these people they might, even if I had something on me, if I'm not selling it, if I'm not harming anybody else, I'm not doing anything bad. You know what I mean? But like when you're trying to find things wrong, you're gonna find things wrong. You know what I mean? So yeah, that over policing, and it's like talking about black accountability, and I guess they're saying, well, like, why are they committing the crimes? Why are they committing crimes? And it's like, yes, I think black people can be accountable for them for their own actions, but also, what is the cause? Let's invest in what the cause is. You know what I mean? And fix that as opposed to blaming the outcomes all the time. So I think yeah, like I think they missed the point. I think they just think like, oh no, black on black crime. So black people hurt each other. Why? Why is more crimes happening? They missed the point there. Claim number three: systemic racism isn't a theory; it's our lived experience. So Amanda talked about redlining. People didn't know what redlining was. You know what I'm saying? She even tried to use the example of home appraisals and the disparities. Like, they did this study when, a black family puts their house for sale, right? And the appraisal number that they get, but then if they have their white friends pose as them and decorate the house to reflect that white people live there, then their appraisals tend to be higher, right? What is that? That's systemic. Like there's something in the system, and a lot of times people think that one of the arguments they try to make was that if it's systemic, then it has to be written into law, and that's not true. That's not true. It doesn't have to be written into law. Sometimes laws have unintended consequences, and that's what systemic is. Where it's like maybe systematic is like the law is created to get at you. Systemic, even though it sounds like the same word, the context is that it's implicitly harming you. Like, yeah, it's not written into law, but like, yo, you don't even realize, like, yo, since you passed this, it opened the door for this. That's what systemic racism kind of is about. And yeah, sometimes it is the system right in place in your face. And a lot of these black conservatives was arguing that like, oh, that stuff is old, like get over it, they're using personal examples to try to disprove these big claims. And a lot of it was that like if I could do it, or if my grandfather could do it, then you can do it too. And they don't see the issues. And a lot of these people were minimizing anytime that she would bring up a good point. Amanda Seals would bring up a good point about like, hey, but what about this example? Like when Tennessee Congress was was basically excommunicated black congressional people, Congress people. So what is that? And they basically chalked it up to, well, maybe they just had a that person just had a personal vendetta. So they would make it they would minimize it and make it like, oh, that was just a personal issue. That has nothing to do with the system. But Amanda was explaining that like, but yeah, that's a part of systemic racism too, where it's like if I am the system and my personal opinion, not based on any law or anything like that, but my personal opinion can like, turn the light switch on or off for you. That's systemic. And that's the point that she was making. It's like that is systemic racism though, because they are the system and they are using the system to back up their own opinions rather than to address what the constituents want. You know what I mean? And so that again, a lot of times all these people were missing the point. And then the last claim that she made was black conservatism fails to meet the needs of the working class. I gave you a whole soliloquy of why they do. And it's because they have no regards for people that are less than them. You know what I mean? Um, Conservatives tend to be anti-union, which that's kind of backwards. And Anthony Bryan Logan, the only argument they had was like, well, unions used to keep us out. Okay, yes, there was a time when unions kept us out, but like if you're a black person right now and you're working in a trade, whatever, a union or some type of skilled labor, some type of job, a union is gonna help protect you, and being a part of that union is gonna help protect you. But like if you so you could turn the cheek on racism and you could turn the cheek on redlining and you could turn the cheek on segregation, you can't turn the cheek when organization may have evolved and they are accepting black people to make their union stronger, and you saying like, nah, they used to keep us out. All these other things kept us out, and y'all still rock with that stuff too. So that's weird. So yes, they don't address the needs for the working class because a lot of times they're anti-union. This one person, she's claimed that like the black working class is failing themselves. Um, and then they started making this argument about media. They're like, yeah, but like, what about all the music that we consume and all this, whatever? And then Manda Seals shut them down. Was like, but who puts out the music? Like they're like, oh no, the black artists are making like. She's like, yeah, but like no, like who puts it out? Like who distributes it? And then they're like, but who consumes it? You can't blame the consumer. Like you can't always blame the consumer. Like you can't do. Oh my god. Like yo, like for example, Flint, Michigan, right? The consumer, right? They had bad water, right? They just keep distributing bad water, you know what I mean? Like because that's what's available, you know what I mean? And not even that they were just drinking it, like to bathe in, to cook with, you know what I'm saying? So so because these people in Flint got sick, you blaming the people in Flint because they was using the only water that was available to them. That would be the equivalent of that, whatever. So like if you think so badly about hip hop music and the depictions of women and like how our society is degrading, is degrading to our people, yes, there has to be a moment where because people do stop consuming that type of stuff. But if that's all they put out, if that's all they incentivize, if that's all if that's the only kind of artists that make money, then what's gonna happen? People are gonna make ratchet bullshit music. You know what I'm saying? People are gonna stop being conscious. People are gonna stop doing this because don't nobody want it. Even when I put it out, don't nobody want it because and yeah, because black people don't control the distribution means of any of our media, to be honest. And like she made the point that like let's be real, black black people have never been favored in the media like ever. Yeah, at any point in America, they've never really been favored. We might be like highlighted sometimes, you know what I mean? We might be put on not even say put on pedestal, but yeah, they might showcase us, but that don't mean that they favor us. You know what I mean? Because so many people still think of athletes, that wear their hair a certain way are thugs and all this other stuff. So to me, I just think that's a slam dunk. I mean, and it's easy to argue. And again, these black conservatives were missing the point. And then the last thing with that counterclaim where black people need to walk away from the Democratic Party. That was his counterclaim, which and Amanda was like, sure, let's do it. Let's walk away and like go to something else. But his point was his only point was the fact that like because he's a black conservative, he feels that he's pressured into believing and thinking one way. And he just wants to do that example I said earlier where he just wants to turn his back on the real problem, right? He don't want to actually solve anything. He just wants to work with the other side because he feels that that can advance him. And that's all black conservatives care about. They care about the advancement of their agenda of their agenda, which if they kept it a buck and said that, like, yeah, I only vote for Donald Trump because he supports my agenda. If that's was the point of it, then that'd be fine. And it wouldn't be fine. It would be like, okay, because they push your agenda. But it's not only that they want their agenda pushed, but they want to degrade everything else as well. So so that was his main point was like basically talking about like, well, yeah, as a black person, I shouldn't be forced and told what to believe. And then he defended the three-fifths compromise, which was like, and she was like, bro, you really defending the three-fifths compromise? And this is supposed to be this person said he was running for Congress, but he didn't know what this same guy didn't know what redlining was, and he mischaracterized the three-fifths compromise. So everybody cites the three-fifths compromise, and we say to make it simpler, we say that like, oh, they consider us three-fifths of a human, and that is part of it. That definitely is part of it. But he was arguing this whole other thing. So the three-fifths compromise was a time it was a time like during slavery when as more slave states started to pop up, right? And they wanted they these people wanted like congressional votes and they wanted like certain power. That's where the electoral college comes from. You know what I mean? Like in the three-fifths compromise, the electoral college is directly tied to that. So the problem is that in a lot of these slave owning states, they have more slaves than actual citizens, right? So the slave owning states wanted to count all their slaves as a part of their population, even though none of these slaves have any stake in anything that's happening, right? So the union, right? So you got the Confederacy, you got the union. The union is like, hell no, we not letting you boost up your numbers and to count all these slaves as actual people as we're not going to let you count them as people. You know what I mean? Because that's not fair because they have no rights under your like you own slaves like they don't have the same kind of agency. Of course they agree with whatever you feel, whatever, but like that should not change their population. And then the compromise, which is still a dirty compromise on both ends, but the compromise was like, all right, we only gonna count three of every five black people, right? We gonna count three of every five enslaved black people, we gonna count them as a person. You know what I'm saying? Three out of every five, that's one. So like, you know, I think I don't know if they was counting three and then of five, all right, that's one, or if it was like, what I'm saying? But like, yeah, three out of every five will count as a vote, basically, for us. And that was the three for compromise. And he was like, yeah, because it did it because it was gonna give the Confederates more power. It did give them more power. That's the part that he's missing. Like it literally gave them power. Like allowing them to count because they shouldn't have been allowed to count the slaves at all. I mean, because you don't give them rights. So like, why are you counting them into your population as like why are you counting them into your population? They have no say. And they're like, all right, well, can we count three-fifths of them? And that's where this whole three-fifths of a human ideology. And then we made that dirty deal. You know what I mean? They made that dirty deal, and it didn't help them maybe as much because it was gonna help them more, but it still helped them. It still helped them. So I don't know, man. I just think ignorance is at an all-time high. This debate definitely showed that there is some type of like indoctrination happening. in conservative party. Um, there's a lot of people that, again, they give certain groups a little bit way too much credit, and they ignore like the facts of what things are. You know what I'm saying? So, but did you? Hopefully, you go see it. I really like. It might sound like I did give a good breakdown of it, but like I still feel like I just scratched the surface of what they all were talking about, and it was like a way bigger topic, way bigger topic. But let me know in the comment section if you watched it, and if you want to even go back and forth if you disagree with anything about what I said. Let me know in the comment section because we could chop it up. Right. All right. Moving on. Moving on. Moving on. Okay. Let's see. Because I talked about one. Okay, one, two. Yep. All right. Yeah, we only had like 4 topics today. All 5 topics. All right. Let's move on to the next thing. So we're going to talk about the death of music videos and the hip hop, and the BET Hip Hop Awards and Soul Train Awards. So real quick, let's show a video. And this kind of will set the tone for what we're going to talk about. And this guy, I like this guy sometimes. He's kind of controversial. Um, we got to make sure that when we share, hold on, I'm gonna share this real quick. Share the screen, and I got to make sure I'm sharing my sound because I did not do that. Okay. All right. So this guy, Ray Daniels, he's very controversial. A lot of time, I like some of his talking points. Music industry guy, and he's talking about the BET Awards and Soul Train Awards being discontinued. So let's take a look here.
And we're gonna be honest about BET. We gotta say this: BET has been living off of what they did 20 years ago. Like, why would BET have hip hop awards or music awards? They don't play hip hop music or music at all. Right. They have no connection to music anymore outside of we once was a music channel. Same with MTV. Like, then we just stopped. It's like what you did it for is not even there. And by the way, the BET Awards is probably the biggest thing they got going. How will you call Black Entertainment Television and you're literally just a Tyler Perry channel? Mm-hmm. Like, you're literally, and by the way, the Tyler Perry channel are reruns for old Black TV shows. Like, my nigga, you mean to tell me ain't nobody like I could be making $1 million a year at BET. I'm gonna be in that bitch really flip my table over. This shit whack, nigga. I'm cold out here, nigga. I'm lame out here, nigga. I ain't got nothing. Like, they ain't got a voice for the channel. They ain't got one person. They ain't got a 106 in part. They don't have a streamer. They don't have nothing. And we're gonna be honest about BET.
Okay, so that's my point. So I actually agree with him in that, like, because on the surface, yeah, I was ready to when I seen that they weren't having any hip hop awards, or any hip hop awards, and then Soul Train awards. I'm thinking like, damn, like they really killing our black platforms and then our award shows. But then what Ray just said makes I actually like that perspective, and I agree with it. And it kind of, it makes me flip over to that, like, where he's like, yeah, but like, why are we set, like, he's like, these channels are not even music channels anymore, so like why should they have a music awards? Like, Soul Train is not a thing anymore, you know what I'm saying? So why are we giving there's no platform that is like on the surface of that, so why are we giving out awards for this when it doesn't exist? Why is there a hip hop awards for BT when they don't even show no hip hop on the channel at all? There's no music videos ever, right? And that kind of took me down into, like, it made me think of it, and then this other post popped up, and I was like, wow, that's how I've been thinking. So the question is, are music videos dead? All right. So here's the thing. I'm gonna get into what I think, and then I'm gonna talk about and react to like some other opinions about this. So that's the question: are music videos dead? So I tell people all the time, and people don't believe me, and I say 15 years, but it's actually probably a little bit more than that. But 15 years is safe because I say 2010, right? But I'm telling you, it might be a little bit longer than that. But I tell people all the time, it's been about 15 years or more that I have not been in the loop with music videos, right? So in the last 15 years, because I would say like 2010 is really when, like, me in particular, but just in general, this is when I started streaming music like on a regular basis. You know what I mean? I remember I used to work at Radio Shack. We all had different phones. We used to listen to like satellite radio, but then that shit was on a loop. And then we was just like, well, then we discovered Spotify, right? Because Spotify, I don't know if it for sure, but Spotify came out before Apple Music in my worldview. You know what I'm saying? So Spotify comes out, and then you're literally looking. You're like, what? We could listen to all this for like, oh, we just got to pay one time, and so it obviously seemed like a great deal. You know what I mean? It seemed like a great thing. And I then became I was able to keep up with music all for the last 15 years without watching hardly any videos. And I be telling people all the time when they be like, "Oh, did you ever see this video?" I be like, "No," like whatever. Or they be like, "Oh, yo, I know you seen this video, right?" Nah, like unless the only time I've seen music videos in the last 15 years is if one the music video was so big and popular that like it became like a social media post, and like it was like a viral talking point, right? So I would watch videos then, um, or if that was like literally part of the rollout of the song was the music video. You know what I'm saying? But like once I started streaming music, I never relied on because we used to rely on TV and music videos to even know what was hot out there. But I kind of been off of that because I was a mixtape boy. You know what I mean? Like I was a prime consumer of mixtapes. So I was already listening to music that was not going to be featured on any music video, right? There was never going to be music video for a lot of the songs that I liked. And then when I got into streaming, it was like, well, yeah, I can still keep up with it. What do I need a video for? Like I know what's new. I know what's about to come out. I know I have and I have everything already. You know what I'm saying? Because streaming makes you at least makes you feel like you have all this music, even though we learn that, they can give it and take it away, right? So music videos for me have been dead for 15 years. 15 years for me. Now, I can't speak on everybody. And I know because yeah, I used to have debates. People were like, oh yeah, you need a video for that. I'm like, you don't need a video. You don't need a video for this, or this don't need a video. Or oh, they should have dropped the video. Why? Like just put the music out. You know what I'm saying? So, hold on one second, real quick. Hold on one second. So let me look at this because yeah, this was a post, right? And it said, "Are music videos dead?" And I'm probably gonna put a lot of stuff on the screen. Um, Many fans think so. So then it's like a carousel. So it says the way music videos do absolutely nothing for for songs these days is crazy. I've felt that way for 15 years. Because they keep putting them out the same day. It was supposed to be later to keep the momentum or to bring it back. So yeah, so one thing, yes, we used to hear the music first, then the music video would follow, and then we enjoying the album. We're into the album, and then like the second or third song that was like popular from the album would make a video, and then it would yeah bring us back and to buy the album again. I mean, we'd be hype about it, like, oh, I mean, like sometimes people wouldn't discover an album until the second or third single. I mean, like if you had a successful album back in the day, if you made three videos, that was a successful album. If you made like four to five, that was like an amazing album. And then like people like Michael Jackson, and that's what I'm saying. That's how long this dates. Michael Jackson would make seven music videos for one album, and like that's like like that's like unheard of, whatever. So like yeah, think about like so. And this is maybe a little bit for younger people to realize, but that's how music was, right? Music videos was based off of, or the amount of music videos you put out kind of dictated the success. And yeah, it just doesn't do that anymore. But she's saying put them out the same day. I don't know if that's true. I think that what happens is like when artists put out music, they just put out music. They don't keep trying to get people to listen to that same album, because the way we listen to music now with streaming, it makes it so disposable, because we want the next thing, we want the next thing, we want the next thing, because we have so many options. But like when you had to buy a CD, you were literally listening to one album a week. You know what I mean? You might have been listening to the same album for a couple months for without changing, like, and you listen to the same 17 songs. You know what I mean? Says the way music videos, okay, do nothing for us crazy. Somebody says, oh, no, I did not want to do that. Let's see. People lost interest, but you know why? It's because they took away all music video TV shows. So that is another reason too. There's no curation. I talk about that a lot of times too. So artists don't have anywhere to premiere them. Remember 106 at Park, Fuse, MTV, and Revolt were all dedicated to music. They do help with streams slash charts. 100 million streams gets a Vivo award. So yeah, there's no platform for this type of stuff anymore. And I do think it's, I would think that with the advances of podcasts that there would be more like music shows. And I think the last one of the last vestiges of like a music show was Everyday Hustle. Right? Everyday Hustle with Joe Budden and academics, and then later with academics and like Wayno and all these other guests and Nadeska. That was like the last like music show that we had. And that and well, the Joe Budden era ended in like 2017, 2018. But yeah, like that was like the last time we had like that kind of show where it was artists coming on there to either talk about their music. And like I said, podcasts exist and artists are doing that, but a lot of times podcasts are way more niche, and podcasts get into like deeper stories, unknown stories. Like they don't really report what everybody has already seen. You know what I mean? They start talking about like behind the scenes type of, like that's what they're talking about on these podcasts. It's these older, a lot of times these older artists, and then they're asking creative questions a lot of times as to like, yo, what happened with this? And then they're getting these stories about like music, as opposed to like it just being a promotion thing. And I even me, like even with local artists, I always thought like, oh, we could definitely do something like that. But there's just not a market for it. And again, music videos, what does it do? Especially for underground artists, a music video might take you to the next level, but or your music video just gonna sit on YouTube all day. Let's see another. See if I support anything else that they say here. But yeah, I agree with those points. All right, this person says, it says because one, nobody watches after the first 3 days. Yep. Two, labels give no budget. Three, they stop promoting music videos. Four, my channels are basically extinct now. So yeah, that's true. Number five, dumb people post the whole thing on here or TikTok, so nobody bothers to watch the video. So yes, that's another thing too. It's like when it comes to like copyright infringement and stuff like that. Um, People like bootleg shit and like yeah, so I'll watch a post of a video as opposed to watching the video, you know what I mean, because it was just more convenient to watch there. The videos are, somebody said the videos are horrible. The way the internet had me hooked on that Joyride edit for Kesha better than the actual music videos. Maybe the music videos are bad quality now. I don't know. I don't watch enough of them to say. These artists are so lazy these days. No music videos, no creative direction, no storytelling. So how the fuck is the VMA still a thing when nobody's even making music video anymore? Yes, I agree. I miss when music videos actually told a story based on the song and lyrics and whatnot, like a short film. What the actual fuck is going on these days, man? Half of them just be 20 shirtless niggas with guns pointed at the camera. Because okay. Oh, because we don't have music shows anymore. Artists are extremely accessible, so what's the use in waiting for something to premiere on cable that people don't even use when you can just wait for it to be posted on YouTube or TikTok or IG? That's a good point too. Which is insane because we live in a social media era. Yes, I do think it's wild that music videos are more popular. And again, it's still they still hung on for a little bit, but if collectively if people are having this topic, that means that they're just now feeling it. I'm telling you, I'll be feeling stuff way before people who start talking about it. But anyway, if artists took the time to make something dope for their visuals, there's no reason why a song wouldn't go viral. Yes, well, the songs still do go viral. That's how Glorilla went viral. You know what I'm saying that's how Ice Spice went viral. They went viral because of their because one or two artists, and I think it was Drake for both of these artists, posted it on their page, and then that shit went up for them. You know what I mean? Like even before, even beyond giving a feature, they just posted it, promoted it, and then yeah, then it took off. So So yeah, so there's definitely reasons. I agree with all those reasons, and a lot of those reasons have to are similar to the talking points that I have about this. So, but it's yeah, it's definitely it's definitely eye opening. But like, I'm just surprised that it's taking people this long to kind of like realize, that medium does not serve the same purpose as it once did. All right. Next topic. Moving on. Before we're about to wrap this up pretty soon. We're gonna talk about this real quick. So the Big Three playoffs were just this past week. So the first round of the Big Three playoffs. So Big Three is Ice Cube's 3-on-3 league, and I remember watching it once or twice before, like just kind of like browsing whatever. But I never really watched it. I mean, I knew that it had a lot of former NBA players in it. I knew a lot of former NBA players were coaches, like legends were coaches, and I know they had like cool names for these teams, whatever. So the big three, man, I was watching it and I'm like, damn, this shit is dope. So I don't know what network it used to be on, but like, yeah, you can watch that shit on. I don't know if you can watch it. I'm assuming you can watch it on Paramount Plus because they have a contract with CBS. But like, yeah, they air these things on CBS. But then my favorite part is the fact that they put the content on YouTube. You know what I mean? Because they want to keep this joint alive. So that's how I discovered it. And I actually discovered it incidentally too. Well, not discovered it. I knew it was around, but something this year made me want to look at it. And I watch a lot of different type of basketball. So like not only just NBA, not only college, whatever, but like I watch like one-on-one basketball and stuff like that. Like and it'd be like local hoopers that's like nice. And I watched a lot of that type of stuff. So what's happened is like some of these big three guys, or just even just other, and a lot of these guys tend to be from the big three. They've been getting into these like one-on-one leagues or like these one-on-one showcase leagues and stuff like that. So they've been kind of getting into that. And there was one where it was Lance Stevenson versus Michael Beasley, and there was a lot of trash talk between them, whatever. And then I guess from watching that, like the algorithm kind of like shot me like a big three video, and then I was like, let me just tune into this because the way they market it, they always market like the star versus the star, like the best player versus the best player. And so like it was like something featuring like Michael Beasley versus somebody, right? And I was like, oh snap, thinking it's a one-on-one game. It wasn't a one-on-one game. And they've been doing that all summer. They've been getting me. Like I'll see this matchup, I'm like, oh snap, they about to play. And then because I saw Lane Stevenson and Michael Beasley play, I'm thinking like, oh, all these are one-on-ones. No, it was kicking me to big three games. And then I found out that Michael Beasley and Lane Stevenson's on the same team. So I'm like, oh, y'all definitely was doing this for clicks. Like there ain't no real animosity there. Like y'all are teammates. So anyway, the big three is a dope 3-on-3 league. I think it's dope because of some people might think like who wants to watch like old basketball players, but like a lot of these dudes is still nice, man. And like I watch guys on the street, whatever, that if they're good, they're good. So like there's still definitely a market for that. And so it's cool seeing these big stars, but then also like the rules is kind of dope in there. Like one, when I played 3-on-3, back in the day at the park pickup, it's make it take it. So this is not make it take it, but it's twos and threes, right? So that makes it okay. Like, and then so then they have foul shots, right? So I'm thinking it's cool, but no, it's dope. Like for example, if I get fouled, right, and I was supposed to shoot two shots. I shoot in the big three, I shoot one free throw, and that one free throw is worth 2 points. So it's like, damn. I mean, the only time a free throw is worth 1 point is if it's like an N one, because like you would have only got 1 point for that. You know what I mean? But when you normally you're supposed to shoot two shots, you could have possibly got 2 points. So instead, they speed it up and they make you just shoot one for 2 points. So making your free throws is critical in the big three. Also, if you get fouled on a 3 point shot, instead of shooting three free throws, they make you shoot a uncontested 3 point shot, right? So that's dope. And then they have like the not a 4 point line, which I think they should have a line. If they had a line, then it would be way more 4 point plays. But they have these like 4 point circles, and and so like you can only shoot from like these three spots on the whole floor, that are worth 4 points, and obviously they're far back. They're not in 3 point range. They're beyond it. So yeah, so kind of just getting into the rules and kind of thinking like, yo, this is dope, whatever. So it was some big matchups in the playoffs. It was Dallas versus Miami. So Dallas, they're called Dallas Power. And so like every team features some type of like old player. And they might not have always been a star, but like they feature old NBA players. So Power, their main players is Glenn Rice and Paul Millsap. And I was like, oh, Paul Millsap still getting busy? He was getting busy too, bro. They play against Miami. Miami has Michael Beasley, has Lance Stevenson. They have they got all NBA players. Like there's some teams that have like nobodies on their team, like guys that like street ball or like guys that might have went to college but didn't go nowhere. Nah, Miami got all five of their guys because it's a 5 team roster, but you're playing 3-on-3. They got all former NBA players. So it's Michael Beasley, Lance Stevenson. They got Chalmers. They got Amir Johnson, and then they got. Do they? No, they don't got Amir Johnson. My bad. My bad. Amir Johnson played for the other team. No, they got Reggie Evans. Yeah, they got Chalmers, Reggie Evans. Yeah, and then they got Sean Williams. Sean Williams, I believe that's the boy that the big man that used to play for Boston College way back in the day. And he got drafted, but I don't remember where he went. So yeah, Michael Beasley. That was a tough fought game. They end up pulling it out at the end. It kind of went down to the wire. Glenn Rice Jr. was yo, bro. He was hitting some crazy threes at the end, whatever. But it was dope outcome, whatever. Fun to watch. Chicago features, yeah, they have Amir Johnson, but they have their best player is Montrezl Harrell. And they got who else they got on their team? They got a lot of like these underrated guys on their team, like these like role playing dudes, whatever. But they nice, man. But Montrezl Harrell, man, bro, I've seen Montrezl Harrell ball at mad different levels, and like he's somebody. He is truly like the underdog. He's a big man. He plays center in the NBA, but he was always like an undersized center. Like he's only like 6'8" and playing center. And he did make an All Star. He did make an All Star team before. Played for the Clippers for most of his career, but he bounced around a lot towards the end of his career. He went to Louisville. I believe he won a national title with Louisville that one year when they had like Russ Smith and Peyton Siva and all them dudes. I believe he was on that team. So he was nice at Louisville. He had let me just double check before I keep saying that he was an All Star. I'm pretty sure that he was. Let's see. Yeah, Montrez. He has like a weird spelling of his name because there's a L at the back of his name that shouldn't really be there. Oh, maybe he was not an All Star. I thought he was. Hmm. Oh, well, yeah. Well, all right. He was an all-star, but he was six man of the year one year. And actually just a couple years ago. Yeah, a couple years ago, he was six man. He was like runner up, like second runner up, like so he finished third place, six man of the year. But for the Clippers at age 26 in 2019, 2020, so he's not that old, man. He's not crazy old. He's 31 right now, so he can still hoop, man. But yeah, he in the 2019 2020 season, he was the most six man of the year. So yeah, always doing his thing, man. That year he averaged 18 points a game, six boards, 18 points a game, 18.6 points a game, seven rebounds, uh, one assist, whatever. But yeah, so because he's undersized, that's probably why he's not getting like boards like that. But like no man, but he can get buckets, bro. I seen him play in the BAL, right? That's the Best American League. That's here in Lancaster. Just showed up, man, like and pulled up on them and played. I mean, so like he's still a hooper. He's still a guy that like you might tell him it's time to hang it up, whatever, but he still got some stuff in the tank, man. But he was hooping, and they kind of blew out their matchup. But so ironically or surprisingly, they're playing LA, and LA features they have Jordan Crawford, not Jamal Crawford, Jordan Crawford, and they have Dwight Howard. So Dwight Howard is playing basketball, and he's playing for the LA Riot of the Big Three League. I don't know how much these guys get paid. It has to be enough for them to keep trying to come back. Montrezl Harrell is the rookie is kind of been deemed the rookie of the year this year, and Michael Beasley has been deemed like the MVP of the last like 2 seasons. So like these guys get busy, man. So like if you I don't know, it's a summertime thing, or even if you want to just watch reruns because you can watch old games yo, man, and the games be like 30, like a game might be like 35 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a short game. It's very entertaining. Sometimes these guys got to warm up and get loose before you start seeing them make shots in succession, but like it's dope, bro. It's really dope, man. So I recommend it. If you haven't watched the Big Three yet, go check that out. Go check it out for this weekend because it's gonna be Michael Beasley's team versus Montrezl Harrell's team for the championship. And then they even had like a celebrity game last week. I didn't watch the full thing of that, but Gilly the Kid was in it and he was getting some buckets. So, but yeah, check that out, man. If you have a fix for if you need basketball, summer league is over. You got 1 week left to watch the Big Three. Go check that out, man. So, what do you think? What do you think? But I gotta wrap this up, man. I gotta go eat dinner. I appreciate y'all though, man, for listening. Yeah, we talked a little bit about video games at the end. We talked a little bit about music videos and like their impact. We talked about the big three, and then but the big topics that we talked about today was is the reaction to the Surrounded episode featuring Amanda Seals, and the first topic was the Biggest Loser documentary, right? Fit for TV. So leave a comment below. Tell me what was your favorite part about this episode. What'd you think about it? What segment did you like the best? Give me any type of feedback you can. Leave a comment below. Share the content with anybody that you know that watches Jubilee, that watches The Biggest Loser, that plays any of these video games. Share the content with them, please, please. And yeah, man, we're gonna keep rocking out, man. Fun episode for sure. I love y'all. Keep watching. This is episode 205 of the 280 Plus podcast, y'all, and I'm out. Peace.